And welcome to the Crafternoon session that Artcore has invited artists to do and be part of. And today's session I'm going to be doing all about blackout poetry. So it's a little bit like a collage of words, and there's lots of different ways that we can do this. So please just have a go, see what happens, and I will show you lots of different ways to do it, from the colouring in of blacking out words on a page to using colours if you prefer. You might not want to black out a page, you might want to use lots of colours, and that's absolutely fine. And so I've got some poems today, so you might have at the ready some paper, and it can be paper in any colour, shapes and sizes. You may have some old magazines to work from, and you might have some words that you'd like to cut up on an old book maybe. I've got an old book that I found in an old library, and it was all broken and the cover was torn, but it's such a beautiful story that I like to use the pages from the book in my artwork. But sometimes if you don't like to cut out the pages from the book, if you're lucky enough to have a photocopier at home with your printer, you could copy a page from a book and print it out, or you might even Google your favourite poem or story, and then you could print it out and highlight the words from the pages that you print out. So to give you some ideas of what we're doing today, I've got quite a few, and hopefully you'll be able to see it on the screen. You might not be able to read what it says, but at least you can picture the idea. So this one is a little boy in nature. So you can see they've used black to do a silhouette of like the boy and the tree, and used blue for the background, and they've highlighted the words that hold meaning to them. So sometimes when you look at a poem or a page in a book, it might be a word that holds great significance to you. So it might have a power word, so a word that really just makes you think about life or your friends or your family. And this one is all about nature. So it could also be words that make you laugh. So if it was a poem, it might be one that with lots of silly words in and you find them really funny. So you could highlight all the words that make you laugh. So if you need something to cheer you up one day, you can look back at your poem and have a giggle. So this one reads, "In the middle of a wood at night, snowflakes falling through the air, I began to walk forward, crunch, crunch, among the trees." So it's up to you how many words you want to highlight in a text. It might just be one powerful word, it could be one sentence, or you might make up a very short poem. This is another way to go about creating it, and this is a different technique. So it goes in the blackout poetry group of activities, but this is known as found words. So in a textbook or a magazine, you might just cut out lots of different words and text to completely make maybe a journal entry in your diary, if you're keeping a creative diary whilst in isolation, to talk about your everyday life, which is going to be a part of history. You might use words that are capturing all that's going on in the world at the moment, and you can use text with lots of different coloured backgrounds to make it colourful. So that's one idea, and it's lots of fun to do. Here's another one. You can see there's quite a link with art and nature in my examples because I love being outside in the garden so much. This is another lovely one. So you can draw backgrounds on the paper and again highlight the word. So although it's called blackout poetry, it doesn't always have to be the colour black to black out the words. you don't want to stand out on your paper. And this one reads, high hills and no great distance shall leave our life unpacked. And here's one I did. I just got a page out of a book one day. I wasn't sure of my idea and I just splashed paint all over the page and got a collage picture of a lady with butterfly wings, just because it's quite quirky and it makes me smile when I look at the image. And I just highlighted the text, then sings my soul, contrast in continuity. So that's quite significant of the time at the moment, because our reality has changed and it's not how we've known life to be, but it's still a reality right now of what's happening. So you might want to capture something realistic. You may want to do some fantasy art. It's completely up to you. If you do like using black, this is one of a bear. And again, you can see you can draw a picture. So this person has drawn a bear and highlighted the text with boxes, and all the words that they don't want to show in their image, they've blacked it out with a black pen. Now you can do drawings freehand, or you may like to draw around objects. So that's an idea. If sometimes you think, oh, I'm not sure how to draw this, but I really want to do a bear, for example, you might have a toy teddy bear you could draw around, maybe the face of the teddy bear, or you could maybe use a stencil. If you have stencils at home, you could use that to outline a picture. And don't worry if you don't have stencils bought from the shops, you could make your own. So you could draw or cut out a picture from a magazine, trace the outline, and then cut it out. So you could do that with an old cereal box or a piece of card. And this one reads, the day is here, the daughter smiled, and the bear thought people controlled wild people in the darkness, but darkness moves on. So that's a good idea. And today we'll be using crayons and felt pens I suggested for people to bring along. But if you want to continue doing blackout poetry and found words in your own time, there's lots of materials you could use, different types of paper. You may like to use paints. You could use pastels, chalk pastels or oil pastels, and again just highlight the text in boxes. They don't have to be boxes. You might want to highlight the text in circles or in the shape of a cloud, so it's completely up to you. I'll show a few more just before we start and I do an example, but I think it's good to warm up ideas. So the heart is an idea all about Zen doodling. So lots of people like doing mindful colouring, but you could make your own patterns and shapes out of swirls, circles, lines, and so you might want to draw just a simple heart around a text. The starfish one captures words from magazines, so if you find it hard to look at a piece of text and pick out words that have meaning to you, you might find it easier to look through magazines and find words. And here's some more. So again, it's up to you if you prefer to use colour or text in your work. So we've got a lovely light blue, which is one of my favourite colours. And then you've also got the black silhouette of the person looking out into the stars. And hopefully you can see over here again, lots more examples. So this one's of a boat. This is a lovely one of two sailing boats. And it says, clinging to each other, the water stopped rising. And we've got stories So someone's created a poem from journeys, looking at a road and thinking about the road we travel along in life. We've got trees and another boat. And I've got some more here today that I was just printing off because it's nice to have lots of ideas for people that may have never seen this type of work before. So if you have a favourite book at home, you might even photocopy a page from the book and then do some Zen doodles, which are patterns of shapes and lines on the page to capture the words that hold meaning. And if you do like black, again, here's another example of complete blackout poetry where they've completely covered the page in black and only highlighted the words they want to show. So lots of ideas there. If you like space, maybe you could do some painting at home and do some splatter painting and flick paint on a piece of paper and wait for it to dry so it looks like a galaxy. And then you could cut out words from magazines or a book and stick them on your sky. It could be about the universe, it could be about the stars and the planets, whatever you want. So that's an idea. And one about rainbows, just because I think where we live in our country, in the UK, we have lots of people putting up pictures of rainbows to give us hope during this time. And this one says, a rainbow of friends. A rainbow of friends is a dream we can share where everyone's treated with kindness and care. So you might like to print out a poem. It can be really short and just pick out 2 or 3 words. I have quite a few examples today just because as it's like a family session, we may have people of all ages joining in. So we may have children joining in and adults. So I've printed off quite a few examples to show you different ways to do things. So you might begin by doing a very playful picture. And hello, Kate Smith. I've just seen names popping up on the screen. It's so nice to see people watching. So Kate Smith is somebody I work with and she's an artist for our project at the Arboretum Park in Derby called All Being Well. And there's Precious, who is part of a group where I've delivered workshops for Artcore in the community. So hello, I hope you're both well. So you might like to draw an island. So you might start off doing a picture first and then finding words. Again, this one is like a Zen doodle with circles and dripping lines. So the dripping between words, making the connections with the lines. So really have a play with your ideas. And the last 2 are just some poems. Hi Marie from Artcore. Hello. Nice to see you all. I've got 2 poems and I might use them as my examples today to show you how to do blackout poetry. And like I said, just because it's called blackout poetry doesn't mean you have to do it in black. You can use any colours you want. So I found this poem today and I thought it highlights using your imagination and just being free to do creative poetry however you want it to be. So this is all about 5 little crayons. I'll read it out to you. It says, 5 little crayons coloured as seen, yellow, blue, orange, red and green. Look, said yellow, my sun is bright. Blue said, great, my river's just right. Orange said, flowers, I'll draw something new. Red said, great, I'll add some too. Sigh, said Green, I'm tired of trees and grass and bushes and tiny leaves. I think I'll draw a big green cloud. A big green cloud should be allowed. The crayons all smiled and didn't think twice. A big green cloud sounded rather nice. So often, like the weather, we might hear about big grey or black stormy clouds come in. I'm just going to try and scroll through my messages as I do this video. Ah, thank you, Kate. Love it. So the green cloud carries the message that at this time as well, especially in isolation, we don't have to think of it as a big black cloud coming over us. Green is a very soft and healing colour and also represents nature in a great way. So maybe in some ways it could be nature's way of resetting life on our planet Earth. I've got a poem today that I will probably use to show you how to do it, and also I'll just keep talking as I do this today, but please, as you're watching, be at home and join in too. And if you can, remember to share with me your photographs afterwards, because that would be really nice to see people's work, children's work, and we could share it online. And it's really nice to know that we can inspire you at home with our ideas, and we love being inspired too as artists. So I'm going to do a poem today, which I printed off, and I thought it was something that maybe if you have children watching with you today, you could relate to it because you're not at school. So it's called I'm Supposed to Be at School Today. I'm supposed to be at school today, but Mum says I can't go. It's our turn on the bikes, I said, but she hugged me and said no. I get to play at home today and sit and watch TV. Dad's been on his phone all day, but it doesn't bother me. Mum made us ring Gran today, and I said that I had grown. I told them both my favourite joke, and Gran laughed down the phone. No one's playing on my street today, and I'm getting bored of TV. I got a bit upset and sad. Then Mum sat me on her knee. She said, "It all feels a little strange today, not just for you, but for me. It won't be like this forever, my love. Just you wait and see." Dad came off his computer today and helped me read my book. Both our tummies started rumbling, so he taught me how to cook. I played out in the yard today and found some bugs within the grass. My neighbour saw me through her window and waved at me through the glass. Guess what? I went back to school today, and all my friends came back too. My classroom looked exactly the same, and my teacher said, "I missed you." Gran came round for tea today and said something to me. "You must remember this time, my dear, 'cause they'll teach this in history." So that's a lovely poem by Lucy Short, and it's really fitting of the time right now and how we're all looking after each other and how we're at home. And it makes us think about the future and how this time isn't going to be forever, and how one day we'll be going back to school and seeing people that we miss again. But whilst we're in lockdown and keeping safe, we can keep in touch with our friends and our family. It might not be by being online on the computer or the internet. It could be WhatsApp phone calls, but it could also be you sending each other letters in the post maybe, or a postcard, some photograph, and maybe even some artwork like your blackout poetry to cheer somebody up and to let them know that you're thinking of them. So let's have a look where my pens are. I don't know if you know, but I have a giant desk, and every day it gets in a giant mess. So I've always got to clean it up again. But as much as tidying up can sometimes be boring, it's also really good because it makes me clear the space, which helps me clear my mind and gives me space to be creative again and try new things. So remember to say hello if you're watching, so I know who's watching me, because you're invisible. So until you say hello with your name, I don't know who's watching, and I might know you and I can say hello. So I'm going to look at my poem. I'm supposed to be at school today. If you have a book or some text in front of you, you can be looking at yours now to see how you're going to do yours. So sometimes to look at a whole piece of text can be quite difficult. So if you just break it down into all the little parts and start by circling the words. I'm going to go straight in with a black pen so you can see, but if I was doing this without being watched, I might be tempted just to circle it in pencil first, so then I could go back and rub out the words that I might change my mind about rather. So, hugged. Hugged is a nice word because it's all nice and cozy. Play. I think play is very important because if you think when you're very little, and even grown-ups were babies once upon a time, we all learn through play. So it's very important just to make time every day to have fun. I'm going to circle home. Sit and watch. So I'm going to change it. This line reads, and sit and watch TV. Now, I'm not someone that watches a lot of TV. I watch it sometimes, but I mostly sit and watch birds and bees and butterflies in my garden. I could daydream all day long watching the world around me. So I've changed the meaning of that sentence. Dad's been on his phone all day, but it doesn't bother me. Favourite joke. Laugh loud down the phone. That's very important. Now I think my mind is connecting to us being in isolation. So if I think I've circled sit and watch nature, I'm now drawn to a line where in the poem it said about Gran laughing down the phone, but I'm going to miss out and Gran and just put laugh loud down the phone because that reminds me of my connection with my friends and family during lockdown over the phone and doing WhatsApp videos. And also by doing these videos for Artcore. It's good fun to be connected with your friends and people you know watching. No one's playing on my street today. I might highlight that one because I think it can be quite eerie. When I first started going out, when we was all asked to stay at home and stay safe, when I first went outside and there was no traffic on the road and nobody walking past me with their little dogs, although of course we're allowed out once a day for our daily exercise, but it just felt like time had stopped still and there was less noise, less activity to see. So I'm going to highlight that one. No one's playing on my street today. and I'm getting bored of TV. Well, I don't really get bored of TV because I don't watch much of it. And I prefer to watch films based on true life, so I won't circle anything on that line. I got a bit upset and sad. Now I might circle that bit because I've been feeling all kinds of things whilst we've been in isolation, mostly happy and relaxed and having time as an artist to do lots of art and creativity and drawing, but I've felt a little bit sad at times because it's a very difficult time for lots of people who are still out working and looking after the world, and for people that may have lost people that they love in their families. So that makes me sad. But then I can go and get a hug. So I can return to that word at the top. So if you're feeling a little bit sad or worried or scared or anxious about what's going on in the world, because I think it comes in waves. So sometimes we can go every day feeling fine, and then sometimes we might just have a moment where we feel unsure. So it's important to remind ourselves to go back to the things that help us. So I can see a theme developing here. So I'm not trying hard at this stage to make a poem that rhymes or makes sense, because it doesn't have to do any of those things. Remember, it's just picking out words that hold meaning to you. So I've got about hugs, playing, being at home, sitting and watching nature, laughing loud down the phone. How then on a flip side of emotions and reality, that no one's playing on my street today. I think the people I see coming along my street is the postman and the people that come to empty my bins and the milkman. And sometimes I see people going out to get their shopping. That's a very good line. It says, "It all feels a little strange today." And strange is a very good word to highlight how I see the world at the moment, because it's strange because it's new to me. It's outside my perceived idea of reality. So I might highlight the whole line. Not just for you, but for me. That's also really important to know, that although we have to isolate at home, we're not isolated from each other. There's lots of ways we can still feel connected to one another all around the world. So you and me, I'm going to circle, because that's remembering to have empathy for one another and understanding that we're not alone with how we're feeling. It won't be like this forever. Just you wait and see. I'm going to put, it won't be like this forever. Because it's like most things in life or feelings. Sometimes you want things to last forever, like maybe ice cream or being on holiday. And sometimes, like what we're going through at the moment, we might want it to hurry up and go past a little bit longer or faster. My love. I'm going to circle my love. Or even I could draw a shape around it. As I showed you a piece of text earlier with Zen doodles on, of a heart, so you can see on my page that I've been circling words, I'll bring it to you, that hold meaning to me, and sometimes I've done them inside of blocks, and my love I've drawn a heart around. Dad came off his computer today and helped me read my book. I'm going to do read my book because I did that all day on Saturday. I just sat in my garden and did lots of daydreaming, and it was brilliant. I didn't feel like I had to do any cleaning or tidying up or tidy my room. I didn't feel like I needed a reason to sit back and do nothing. So quite often we can be very busy, always doing things and thinking, oh, I must do this, I must do that. But when do we say we must look after ourselves and I must do some art today, I must do something creative? Both our tummies started rumbling. Oh, ho, 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 that's a good one for me to do. I am hungry. My tummy's always rumbling. I don't know if that's about you. And how to cook. I'm going to circle the word cook because let me know what you've been doing in isolation. But I've been learning lots of new recipes. So I've been learning how to make cakes without eggs. I've been learning how to make bread. And what else? Different pasta sauces from scratch and even pasta. How to make pasta. And it's lots of fun. That's a creative activity in the kitchen. And it's really relaxing, pouring out all those ingredients and not knowing how it's going to turn out. I played out in the yard today. I'm going to put played out because that reminds me of my cat Louie. He loves playing in the garden. Hello, Leo. Do you have your dog watching with you today? Woof woof. I know Leo has a dog and he was watching me on Sunday. Let's see. I found some bugs within the grass. I'm going to put grass. Grass is an important word to me because I love nature so much. And also, I love the feeling of it in between my toes. So sometimes when I go out to hang the washing out, I wear my flip-flops and I love the feel of the grass on my toes. And for different people over the world, they'll experience different sensations outside depending on where they live. From maybe I don't know, a beach, a forest. They might live somewhere where it's really muddy. They might live somewhere like where it's like a desert, just sand. So grass, nice and cool. And it also reminds me of my cat again. So he loves to find shady spots in the garden where it's nice and cool. And I think the grass is such a nice, cool carpet to lie on. So he falls asleep in the grass. So here I'm drawing out words that trigger memories for me. So things that make me happy. And when I first read this poem out today, I wasn't thinking any of these things. I just saw the poem as it was and what the title is, where I'm supposed to be at school today, and I've completely changed the meaning of the text to me. So I hope you're having fun at home. My neighbour saw me through her window and waved at me through the glass. I'm going to put my neighbour saw me through the window because that reminds me of the time when we were outside on a Thursday evening at 8 o'clock to clap for all the doctors and nurses and people that work at the hospital. I could see some of my neighbours upstairs in their bedroom, so I had lots of people along my street clapping outside their front doors. And I also saw people that maybe if they were too poorly to come outside were watching and waving at their window, which is really nice because if they're at home, they might be living at home all by themselves, and by making a wave and sharing a smile keeps people connected. And waved at me through the glass. I'm going to do through the glass and wave. I'm just going to put, so I've got another line here and it says and waved at me through the glass. So I'm going to highlight waved through the glass because this reminds me of when I wasn't feeling very well in isolation. A friend of mine, when she was on her way back from the shops, decided just to pop by my house on her way home and very safely just gave a knock on the door and left me some flowers on my doorstep. So that was really nice and cheered me up. And I remember I had to wait for her to go back into her car, and I waved through the window. So wave through the glass. Guess what? I went back to school today, and all my friends came back too. My classroom looked exactly the same, and my teacher said I missed you. What to? I'm going to highlight back to. And this is because I'm thinking when things change in the world, sometimes you might hear people say, I wish things got back to how they were. But sometimes, if you look for the positives in the things that make us sometimes feel sad, it makes you think what you would really like to get back to. So making time for all the things you really enjoy doing, all the people you love seeing, and making a new way of life for yourself, maybe. It doesn't have to be completely, but it might just mean changing different habits or not putting off. Sometimes we always think we can do something one day or wait for an adventure to happen, but maybe it might teach us to be a little bit more spontaneous. My classroom looked exactly the same. Now, things can look exactly the same, but I don't know about you watching, but when I'm at home, because we're in the same space in our house or garden, I try to look at where I live and my garden with fresh eyes every day. So rather than thinking I know every tree and flower in the garden and where my path leads, I try to sit back and watch and discover new things. I might notice flowers that have popped up that I haven't planted, that the squirrels or the bees have helped me to plant, and I might notice a new flower that's popped up from a wild seed. So I don't look at things exactly the same. Came round for tea today. Ooh, I'm going to do round for tea because that's something I miss doing with my friends and something I love doing. So I love going around people's houses for tea, and I like having people around my house for tea. It says, I'm going to highlight that whole last sentence because I think it's very important. You must remember this time, my dear, because they'll teach you this in history. Now, if you were watching in the very beginning, and also you can go back, so if you've tuned in after I've started, you know you can play back the video later, but I've read out a poem about crayons and colours, and it was a green cloud, and I spoke about how clouds and nature and the colour green holds significance to me because I love being outside in nature. I also think it's really healing. So because I love the idea of nature and the colour green being healing, I'm going to colour in my cloud green. So I wonder what yours are looking like at home. So you can share your photos with Artcore. You can also look for me on Facebook. So for people that know me, my name is Marie, and my little freelance business is called Scraggy Moo. Now the name came from one of my brothers. For when we was little, we had little nicknames for each other. Sometimes people know nicknames as pet names. So it was a made-up name, and he used to call me Scraggy Moo. So that's what I'm known as when I do arts and crafts in the community. I'm supposed to be at school today. I'm going to do a big cross where it says I'm supposed. Because it's interesting, isn't it? I've spoken about highlighting words that hold meaning to us today, but I'm supposed. It's a bit like the term when people may say, you should do this. And really, you could rephrase it to, I could. Because sometimes you find what works for you. So, for example, I'm thinking along the lines of health and well-being. I'm thinking that you don't have to be good at anything for it to feel good to you. So I might not be the best musician, I may not be in a band, but I love to sing in the shower, I love to sing in my bedroom. I might not be a dancer on the world's biggest stage, but I still like to dance in my kitchen. And I think people should take the same approach when they do art and try out different things in the Crafternoon session. Just remember, you don't have to be the best at anything we try out, because we'll find something that makes us tick and what we're really good at. And so I've crossed out I'm supposed to be at school today. I'm going to highlight the word today because I love to take one day at a time. So hugged, played, at home. I'm going to do a big rainbow. So I'm going to just start drawing on my paper. So remember, you can draw silhouettes and pictures over your paper. I'm going to do a little sunshine here. I hope you're having fun. I'm also going to do some raindrops because it's been raining this week. The weather's changed. It's gone from really hot to sunny to rain. What else could I do? Feels a little strange. I'm going to highlight the light bulb because sometimes you get ideas when you've got more time to think. If you let your mind wander and think, you don't always have to fill every hour of the day to do things. If you just give your time to being still and allowing yourself to be bored sometimes. So it's nice to have a routine, and like I say, it's finding what works for you. Some people like to have a routine, some people like to be more relaxed, and that's fine. You do what works for you, but I think sometimes by not filling every hour of the day and allowing yourself to be bored sometimes, you create different ways of seeing things. You might try out new things, so you can learn to entertain yourself. And give room for your creative brain to play. I'm going to do a blue tree because remember that poem about the crayons and the blue always painted, coloured the sky. I'm going to do things back to front. I'm going to do a blue tree. I might do a pink sunshine. What colour shall I do the raindrop? Raindrops, as we know them, would be blue, but as our reality has changed, to how we know it, I might do orange raindrops. And just to let you know, I've got 6 minutes left. So if you have any questions or would like to say hello, I'm live for another 6 minutes. And I'll be online on my Scraggy Moo page afterwards. So if you want to say hello, I'll be there. What colour rainbow? Oh, I could do shapes inside my rainbow. So rather than do blocks of colour, I could do patterns. So I also mentioned earlier about Zen doodling, where you can create your own patterns and shapes, marks, dots, stripes, swirls, which is a lovely, relaxing activity, a little bit like the art of mindfulness. When we think about all those drawing books for adults that people like, mindful colouring and things, you could create your own little doodles. Oh, I've just noticed a little girl on there. She can become me. I'm going to give her rosy cheeks. And quickly draw her face. Do, do, boom, boom, boom. Smiley face. Do, do. And I've got brown hair. And what I might do next is just show you what you can also do with a stencil. So, like I've said, you may have some stencils at home, but if you haven't, you can make your own by cutting around a picture in a magazine or drawing freehand. Let's have a look. I'm looking for some flowers. Oh, a butterfly and a bee. I'll do a butterfly. So you can draw freehand on your picture. And I'm going to do a butterfly. I've got to remember not to push too hard on my easel because it could collapse. Flat. So I love seeing a butterfly in the garden because for me it gives me a sign of hope and transformation. So if you think of the life cycle of a caterpillar and a butterfly, how the caterpillar becomes cocoon and ends that part of its life, but then becomes a butterfly. I think a butterfly is a beautiful symbol of hope. And because I like spending lots of time in the garden, and I've picked out texts about sitting and watching in things in the garden, so although it doesn't say all those things, I've only circled the words sit and watch, I know what it means to me. So I know it means I've really enjoyed feeling connected to nature. So not just being outside, but loving the sense of touch from the wind. I love the smell of the rain. I love the warmth of the sun on my skin. And like I mentioned, the grass on my toes. So for me, those two words trigger so many memories and meaning. And this poem is like a time capsule in a way. So I've seen some versions of time capsules online with questions about how you're feeling at the moment and about isolation and this time in history. But your poem that you create today could be like a piece of art in your time capsule. So I haven't finished at all, but you can see I've just been really simple and playful today. So I'll keep working on it after this video's ended and put colour all over the page. But you can just see that I've started to circle and highlight text that holds meaning to me. I've used the pictures that are already there. I've done some freehand drawing and Zen doodles, and I've also used a stencil. So I'd really like to see what you've done today, because it's all a mystery to me at the moment. And if you would like me to share some pictures afterwards, I can. And I hope that you all stay safe and well, stay creative, keep in touch, have a look on Artcore's page, all about them and the lovely things they do in the community. And also you can look at my page, which is called Scraggy Moo, to find out more about me. So until next time, look after yourselves and stay creative. Bye.